I am Ann Burbine. I am the vice chair, but because Stephen Pritchard is out this evening, I will be running this meeting. So here we have June 8th. It's been a while since I've done this, so you'll have to bear with me. June 8th, 2017, and I'll accept a motion on the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay. All right, at 7:30, we have a public hearing, accessory dwelling special permit for 20 Deer Common Drive. Who's here for that? Would you come forward?
I'm sorry, we were talking. What was the question?
Who is here for the accessory dwelling special permit for 20 Deer Common?
I'm here, Madam Chairman. Paul Marabito from Ross Engineering, and with me is Mark McSherry, who is the builder of the homes in the Deer Common subdivision, which was approved by the board a few years ago. That's a flexible open space. And the reason for our meeting this evening is to seek the board's approval of a proposed accessory dwelling in a home to be built on lot number 9.
Nine's on the cul-de-sac off to the right?
Yes.
This is the common driveway that...
The hammerhead. Up the hammerhead.
You go up the right, to the right?
Up the right is the one on the right,
Okay.
as opposed to the cul-de-sac.
Well, is that the one?
There's a cul-de-sac also.
Okay. Does that have sale pending on it?
Yes.
Yes.
See, I noticed that tonight.
Okay.
Paul?
The lot is 26,206 square feet, and the proposed dwelling will be placed in the center of the lot. There's a garage in the front of the house in this location, and these other areas are for living spaces. The accessory dwelling will be in this portion of the house on the lower level. It's approximately 1,008 square feet. We'll have 2 bedrooms. And then the other portion of the dwelling for the family will have 2 bedrooms as well. When we designed the septic system, it's a combination area. These were 4-bedroom homes. So the main house will be approximately 2,681 square feet, and again, this will be 1,008 square feet. There's 2 parking spaces for the main house as well as the accessory dwelling. Again, it's serviced by its own sewer system and town water. The house is to be built. It's fairly straightforward. We do meet all the criteria for the special permit for an accessory dwelling as outlined in your bylaw and also in the narrative that we provided with the application. So I think with that, I'll end with that kind of questions we have.
Laura?
It's pretty straightforward. The area works out fine, and the parking is very nicely provided. There are the 2 extra spaces on the side. There are just a couple of slightly oddball situations with this one. One of them is the common driveway itself is a little bit narrow. It just wasn't built to quite the 14-foot width. I went out there myself, and I went out there with Ben, and we measured, and it's 13 through most of it. I think there's one spot where it's a little less than 13. And I did bring that up with Al Elliott, the deputy fire chief, and he mentioned that they really do want the full 14.
If it's not 14, it's because... I'm sorry, I'm just
Okay, that's okay.
If it's not 14, it's prefixed. If it's not 14, it would be fixed by SLT because they're supposed to make it 14. Okay.
Okay, well, maybe this is what I was...
Yeah, no,
leading up to is, excuse me, I'll just finish up with this. Maybe there's a way to get them to finish it, and even though the catch basins are in there, if they widen it just on one side, they could put a berm on that side instead of the granite, possibly, and direct the stormwater into that catch basin that way.
Okay.
So that's one of the slightly oddball situations. The other one is where you have this common septic system, you're in the Water Resource Protection District. they want to make sure, because of the common system, that you don't have more than 4 bedrooms in each house. There are a couple of spaces there that they're not technically bedrooms right now, but just a wall here and a wall there, and you could wind up with a 4-bedroom house and a 2-bedroom accessory dwelling. So what I was just going to suggest is that the board might want to think about some kind of a deed restriction on this particular house, just limiting it to 4 bedrooms.
Okay, Bill?
Right now, it doesn't appear to be much of a problem, but I think we need to address the width of the road. What's your response to
Pardon me, the width of the driveway?
width of the driveway, I'm sorry?
Mark has stated that the contractor will fix that and bring it up to the required width of 14 feet. Laura has a good point. They could widen the pavement, or they could put a berm in there. I mean, the fire department wants 14 feet of pavement so that they can drive on, even if it's, part of it's the berm, so it's probably an easy fix, but that'll be done. You could make that a condition of the permit if you had to. Where it's a special permit, you
Yeah,
could do that.
part of that.
Would you please identify, excuse me,
I'm sorry.
please identify yourself.
Mark McSherry. Maybe part of that is a little narrow when they put it in, so it would definitely have to be corrected by SLT before they top coat. They have to fix the base coat and do that. Laura did bring it up a few months ago, Laura. Maybe near the Christmas time. We did talk about that, but I also, it was a little premature for us in the rough stage, and it's already base coated to correct that until they do the finish coat, which will be done next year.
Okay, and then in response to the additional rooms reverting back to being bedrooms?
There's 2 rooms on the plans. I think one's an office and one's a den. That could be a bedroom under Title V, because it does meet the criteria for it. Typically, what we do with homes like that is, what Ann mentioned, you'd have a deed restriction to not allow any more than 4 bedrooms. That septic system was sized for 4-bedroom homes only anyway. I don't know if there's a deed restriction on the project for the number of bedrooms in each house, but if there isn't, you could certainly add it to this.
Yeah. So can you make wider doors and put an archway over it or something?
Pardon me?
Make the doors wider and put an archway
Yeah,
over
we
it?
could do a case opening or something between them.
I think a deed restriction is
Yeah.
better. I really do.
Yes, before we get any occupancy permit and we go to the Board of Health, we sign something saying that it's only 4 bedrooms.
Richard?
Yeah, I mean, that was my question here. I'm just looking at, like you said, the den and the office. It could very easily be bedrooms. So as long as there's a deed restriction, otherwise it seems pretty simple. And then we've got the the driveway, so that's it. Otherwise, it looks really nice. The elevation looks very nice. I like it.
Ben?
Yeah, I actually did a site visit here. The road, the common driveway was just a little bit narrow, but it seems like that's an easy fix, and it sounds like you're amenable to kind of dealing with that later in the site work process. And yeah, I'd say the biggest concern would obviously be the 4-bedroom septic design. I mean, that seems like a much more major concern, and you certainly want to have that addressed so that, if that's what the system is engineered and permitted for, that's what it stays.
I would agree. So Laura, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, excuse me, before you do that, is there anyone from the public that would like to weigh in? This is a public hearing.
These are the buyers.
Buyers. Would you like to say anything before we head to a motion? Okay, Laura?
Yeah.
Who's the leader?
I was like, I can read, or
It's Ben.
it's Ben? Okay,
Ben's
it's fine.
Sorry.
No problem.
For all the conditions,
Well, you just kind of lead this whole thing.
Just keep going.
Motion.
just keep it rolling.
Just keep it rolling.
Okay. I'd like to move to make the following findings of fact. On April 27th, 2017, Christine and James Forsgard applied for a special permit for an accessory dwelling within a single-family home on the property at 20 Deer Common Drive. Based on a floor plan submitted by the applicant, the interior floor space of the proposed accessory dwelling will be approximately 1,008 square feet. This is 38% of the total square footage of the primary dwelling, which is 2,681 square feet, and meets the size requirements of 530.2F of the zoning bylaw for accessory dwellings. The accessory dwelling site plan dated April 4th, 2017 shows a two-car garage and 4 additional outside parking spaces. This appears adequate to provide 2 parking spaces for the accessory dwelling and ample parking for the primary dwelling. The owners have submitted a signed and notarized statement that they will live on the property. The main dwelling and the accessory dwelling will be serviced by a common septic system for the development. The accessory dwelling will have 2 bedrooms and the primary dwelling will have 2 bedrooms. Each of the 12 lots in the development is limited to a 4-bedroom home to be in compliance with the DEP subsurface disposal permit issued for the site. According to the common driveway cross-section detail on sheet 5 of the definitive flexible open space development plan entitled Deer Common by Ross Engineering, dated September 27, 2007, and approved by the planning board February 28, 2008, the surface of the common driveway was to be constructed to a width of 14 feet exclusive of the berms. From measurement in the field, the width at several locations is 13 foot plus, with one location measuring 12 foot 7 inches. The constructed width is narrow for emergency vehicles and for 2 cars to pass in normal daily traffic. The exterior stairs serving the accessory dwelling are on the side of the house. The application meets the standards of the Scituate zoning bylaw for an accessory dwelling permit. I move to approve the special permit.
Oh, yeah, then you guys have to vote on that first.
So do we,
You've made the motion.
I'm making a
I'll
motion
second
to
it.
approve the finding of fact.
You seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I move to approve the special permit for an accessory dwelling at 20 Deer Common Drive with the following conditions in addition to the standard conditions for accessory dwellings approved by the planning board after a public hearing on December 17th, 2015. Condition 1, except for any changes necessary to meet these conditions, any construction shall conform to the plans entitled 20 Deer Common Drive, Scituate, Massachusetts by DM Designs, undated sheets A1, A2, A3, and A4. Accessory dwelling site plan for number 20, lot 23-lot 9, Deer Common Drive by Ross Engineering Company Incorporated, dated April 4th, 2017. Condition 2, the number of bedrooms in the accessory dwelling is limited to 2 in the location and size indicated on the floor plan submitted with the application. Prior to obtaining a building permit, the applicant must record a deed restriction limiting the total number of bedrooms in the dwelling, including the primary and accessory dwelling, to 4. Condition 3, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the primary dwelling or accessory dwelling, the common driveway shall be widened on one side so that the total width is 14 foot throughout, and graded so stormwater will continue to flow to the catch basin. The granite curb can be removed on that side. Condition 4, the accessory dwelling shall conform to all applicable standards in the building, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, fire, and health codes and bylaws. And condition number 5, the standard conditions for accessory dwellings approved by the planning board shall be conditions of this decision and shall be included for recording at the registry of deeds.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion?
It's got the deed restriction?
I believe
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was,
that was in there.
That was
I was,
condition number 3.
Okay.
I was just going to ask, we said something about getting that deed restriction recorded before they go and get a building permit. I just wanted to make sure that that was realistic in terms of whatever their schedule is.
That's realistic. I think that's mandatory for the Board of Health for us to, them to sign it, saying it's 4, and we have to take it to the registry before we can get the occupancy permit.
Okay, great.
That's the procedure.
Before the occupancy permit.
Before we get the occupancy permit.
Maybe the language should be changed from building permit to occupancy permit.
Okay. All right.
You want to amend that?
Move it as amended.
All right, so I second as amended.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
you're all set.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And I should have said this before, but if you just remove that wall between the den and the office, it makes a nice bonus room.
Thank you, Richard.
You have a pool table there. It could be a nice family room. Huh? I'm sure.
That's that. Plenty of time All right, the next public hearing does not start until 8 PM. Do we have anything that we can fill in the blanks?
You have accounting. No minutes today.
When I die, when she
Don't
dies,
make them
we've got
do
three
one.
of me, one we want to do. The date.
Give the minutes to.
Sure.
So far, no. You learn what your common drive is.
I move to approve accounting for an invoice paid to Schwab Incorporated in the amount of $95.74 on June 2nd, 2017.
You can do all of them, and then we'll say,
Oh, okay.
we can say yes.
Move to approve accounting for an invoice paid on June 2nd, 2017 in the amount of $520 to Merrill Corporation of Hanover, Massachusetts. Move to approve the invoice paid on June 2nd, 2017 to Merrill Corporation of Hanover, Massachusetts for the amount of $325. And move to approve invoice paid on June 2nd, 2017 to Merrill Corporation, also in the amount of $520.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So
And
long.
then 3 signatures, right?
Just one.
Just one?
Yours.
Did we approve one single signature?
I thought that was only with the
Minutes.
minutes that you didn't, that you had someone approve outside of the meeting. I thought at the meeting you needed 3.
We'll sign it.
All right, and there are no minutes?
No minutes today.
Are there any liaison reports? Who's been doing what?
I was doing planning in Australia. Does that count?
No.
You need a kangaroo park?
I didn't see any kangaroos.
No kangaroos?
I saw a, let's say not Tasmanian devil.
Koala bear?
No, it wasn't a koala. Wombat, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
EDC does not meet until next Wednesday night, so although we did go before the selectmen and the wayfinding signs for the harbor, I believe there were 4 of them, have been approved by the selectmen, so that's done. It's taken a while, and thank you very much, Laura, but it's done. So we're moving on. I noticed that, I know it's on for 8:15, but we have the review and approved middle school freestanding signs. Do you think we can do that in 12 minutes, or?
Well,
We don't
I
have it.
Superintendent McCarthy's here.
Yes,
so
is the,
Team's not here, though.
who is
I
it?
think he's having people come. from
Okay,
North
fine.
Shore.
Don Walters coming.
All right,
And do we have representation from DRC?
They were all told about the meeting. The meeting was posted for them if
Okay.
they wanted
Okay.
to come to it.
all right. All right, then how about the town planner report?
Let's see, well, I'm trying to pull things together before I leave, and there are several things I'm trying to get done for the EDC. They have a little bit of extra money in their budget, and I'm trying to make sure that it's spent because it can't be carried over from June 30th. You know, June 30th is like the deadline. So there are a few things there. With the pedestrian signs, The contract may also include a sign for the library, which we've been working on, and possibly if we get the school sign out front, we may be able to include that so that the person who makes the signs can kind of make them all at once. He comes from Auburn, so, get him out here and do them all in one day. I think it's, going to be more efficient that way. Otherwise, what else am I trying to get done? Trying to finally finish the last little bits and pieces of the open space plan, and I think that's more, that floodplain bylaw that we talked about last week, I'm still working on that with Nancy Murphy. So
that's
that's
that.
what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, we still have 10 minutes to the next,
Yeah, this is
so,
unusual.
You do a
Yeah.
Form A?
You could do the Form As.
All right.
Yeah. Greg's here, he's got a Form A.
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
Which one do you want first?
Let's go with 108 Captain Pierce Road.
Sure.
Good evening. For the record, Gregory Morse, Morse Engineering. This is a Form A, or an approval not required subdivision plan located at 108 Captain Pierce Road, submitted on behalf of the property owners Al and Donna Bangert. This plan here on the easel depicts the property. The property line is in bold perimeter. The existing house at the property number 108. This plan divides that property into two lots. Lot 1, which is a 64,178 square foot lot, and Lot 2, which is 427,305 square feet. Both lots have frontage on Captain Pierce Road. Captain Pierce Road is a publicly accepted road on record with the town clerk. Lot 1 has the requisite of 100 feet of frontage as required. This is in the R2 zoning district. Lot 2, we note on the plan, is a 50-foot retreat lot. As a 50-foot retreat lot, it has to have twice the land area, which it does. It complies with that requirement. We are scheduled to go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals to get the special permit to construct the house on Lot 2, June 15th. So we'd be looking for endorsement, and typically your department will hold the Mylar plan until after the ZBA issues its ruling. But both lots comply with the zoning bylaw.
Laura? Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward Form A. It is a 50-foot frontage lot. What the board typically does with these lots when they haven't got the zoning board approval is we hang on to them in the vault until they, in the vault or in the office, until they get the zoning board approval and the appeal period is expired. So that's in the motion, but otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. One of the neighbors actually did call and ask some questions. I just sent him a PDF of the plan, which is really handy to be able to do, so.
All right, anyone on the board?
All set?
I just have more of a question. So the zoning board, they're looking at it because of the 50-foot?
Yeah.
So they have to approve that as a special
A special permit.
Okay, all right.
Ben?
No, nothing. I don't have anything.
All right. I'm all set. I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, well, we try not to be too fussy about this stuff, but we do include stuff like hanging onto the plan.
Yes.
I move to endorse as approval not required a plan of land in Scituate, Massachusetts showing a division of parcel 26-3-8, 108 Captain Pierce Road by Moran Surveying Incorporated dated May 18th, 2017, as every lot on the plan will have access and frontage of at least the distance presently required by the Scituate zoning bylaw on Captain Pierce Road when the Zoning Board of Appeals approves a 50-foot frontage lot special permit. The plan shall be held in escrow until the ZBA decision for the 50-foot frontage lot is released from the town clerk for recording.
I'm sorry.
Second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is Form A 19 and 29 Fairview Avenue.
Again, Gregory Morse Engineering. This is a Form A plan located at house number 29 Fairview Avenue. Fairview Avenue is at the top of the plan here. It's a publicly accepted road on record with the town clerk. Between these two house lots is enough area to create a third lot. We divided lot 1, which is a 29,537 square foot lot. Lot 3, as they call it, is 18,564. That would be combined with Lot 2, which is 1,792 square feet. That creates one buildable lot in the middle, leaving Lot 4 as 20,133. The reason why you see the lot numbers depicted like this, and we also submitted 2 separate Mylar plans, is because half of the property is in land court and half of it is in registered land. So they depict these individual slivers. But what you're getting here is you're getting one additional buildable lot between house number 19 and 29. All of the lots have the requisite 100 feet of frontage, the 125 feet of lot width through the dwellings, and they all comply with the 20,000 square foot land area, all upland land area here.
Laura?
It's a pretty straightforward plan. There are 3 lots there now. 2 of them are combined, I think, in one ownership. I think it may be a family that owns these 3 parcels. There's a septic system for one of the houses on the middle lot area. That's going to be abandoned and the septic put in front of the, the existing home, which is number 29. So that will create the new lot. And there's a whole procedure that you have to go through that with the Board of Health to do that. So that's what they're going to do. So.
Bill?
No, I'm all set.
Richard?
Just curious, Fairview, is it paved, or is it,
Fairview is big.
okay.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner here in back of, kind of in back of the school.
By Utility Road, Chittenden Road, Cedarwood. It's in
Okay,
this
yeah.
neighborhood.
All right. Yeah, no questions.
Ben?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to endorse as approval not required a plan of land in Scituate, Massachusetts, showing a division of 19 and 29 Fairview Avenue prepared by Morse Engineering Company Incorporated, dated January 16th, 2017. Because every lot on the plan will have access and frontage of at least 100 feet, the distance presently required by the Scituate zoning bylaw on Fairview Avenue a public way.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Actually, don't worry about break. I have them in my computer, so. You can keep them forever.
All right, we have about 2 minutes to go before our next public hearing, which is
Time's up.
Marshfield?
10 Marshfield Avenue, and the applicants.
Richard Torsley.
Okay, Mr. Torsley, if you'd like to explain to the board what you are planning to do.
Yes, I'm proposing a new shed, 14 by 24 feet, on the property. Already, the shed has been reviewed and approved by the Building Department and the Conservation Commission. And I've submitted schematics that show the building, the breakdown of the sizes of the units in the building, and the parking, and I believe that I satisfy what is required for parking. to do this?
Laura?
It's pretty straightforward. Mr. Torsney is going to have a kayak rental.
Yes.
Kayaks and stand-up paddle boards and all those kind of new cool things. So it seems like a really nice business to have in Hummerock. Just a couple of things about this. I did go down there and take a look at it. The parking looks like it's all there, but some of it's kind of occupied. There's some pods in there.
Currently.
And then somebody's got their boat and their car waiting to go, I guess. So I was going to suggest maybe a condition, just that enough parking, at least for the residents of the apartments, be kept free all the time so that, people could, be sure they had a place.
Yes, certainly. The pods are because I'm under renovations and such, and so all of that is going in. Hopefully the boat is in the water this coming week. And other than that, parking lot will be free for all parking.
Okay, the only other thing that I was wondering about is there are 3 apartments, and it looked like the building got constructed or substantially renovated in 1994. Constructed. So those apartments, I couldn't ever find, I think it's a 15,000 square foot lot. But anyway.
That's what it says here.
It's, right, okay. It's not big enough to have area for each of the apartments. So one of the conditions that I threw in to see if it floats or whatever, is to look at having a meeting with the building department, myself, and you, and just coming up with some kind of a plan. Are these already permitted somewhere? Or if not, what needs to happen to get them permitted? And I was going to suggest that happen before Mr. Torsney comes in and gets his building permit. And that he apply for whatever it is that we all, if there's a decision that he needs to get some kind of zoning relief, that he apply for it before getting the building permit. Or you can do something else, or you can talk about it now and maybe, yeah.
Sure, I'm a little unclear. I'm quite sure that everything that's been done over there has been by the book. And in this conversation with you, my understanding is that there are 2 spots for each unit. And so we have, right now there's 26 or 28 spots, 26 parking spots. And the shed will, in theory, take 3. However, to the side of the shed, you could put back-to-back cars in as well.
Okay, I wasn't really talking about the parking. I was talking about the apartments themselves and whether they were ever formally permitted somehow.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, maybe we could just have that discussion.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Because it looks like they wouldn't comply with zoning, but maybe there's something that, that I don't know anything about going on here.
Did you construct this building?
No, I did not. I bought it a year or 2 after it was constructed.
And the apartments were in the building when you bought it?
In the building, and 2 of them were, and a third one was put in after, and all through, everything went through Town Hall and the building department. No ifs, ands, or buts.
It's probably, there's a statute of limitations on some of these things, and it's probably gone by now. I just think we should all be on the same page with it.
Bill?
No, what's up?
Richie?
So I just wanted to be clear, so you're just, the condition is just saying to have a meeting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that seems reasonable, right?
Of course, because I'm confident, so yes.
Okay.
So if I may, what's happened was there was some miscommunication, and so I had gotten a permit, and I had ordered everything, the shed and the the posts and everything, and they're all done and paid for, but then I was suggested I should come in for this. And so, and the season is coming as well, and so time is a factor. Is that something we could do?
I think in the 5 minutes before you get your building permit, we could do it.
And that's, well,
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Ben?
I was just curious if this area ever, I assume since you said you met with conservation that it's within the flood zone, but has it ever, does it experience flooding in typical nor'easter events or anything like that?
no, not, that happened, if, A, it's raised, and B, that area doesn't. There's a slight part of it that is in a flood zone.
It's actually not, it didn't look like it was all in the flood zone,
No,
just
I
a
think it's
portion of
only
it.
a
Yeah.
small portion, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I was just, if you had said there was flooding, I was curious to how you're gonna
There-
anchor it to the,
There is no flooding in there,
okay.
not on that unit, on that property.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, what do we have?
First of all, is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on this? Because it is a public hearing. Seeing none? Ben?
I move to approve the site plan entitled Hummerock Beach, 10 Marshfield Avenue, showing a new shed to be used for storage in connection with a kayak rental business, subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, all construction shall conform to the above referenced plan, which shall be attached to the planning board's decision. The dimensions of the shed shall not exceed 14 feet by 24 feet. Condition 2, where construction or use requires approval, permitting, or licensing from any local, state, or federal agency, such required approvals, permitting, or licensing are deemed a condition of the Town of Scituate Planning Board's approval of this site plan. All necessary permits and approvals must be received prior to construction and use of the site. Condition 3, construction shall meet all requirements of the Scituate zoning bylaw and state building code. Condition 4, all conditions of approval shall be inscribed on the site plan. Condition 5, parking for residents of the apartments shall be kept available as shown on the site plan and shall not be blocked. Condition 6, no new underground irrigation systems shall be allowed to connect to the town's water distribution system or in any manner use municipal water in accordance with the policy made effective by the Board of Selectmen on October 8th, 2014. All irrigation systems installed in accordance with this policy must be supplied by on-site sources at the expense of the property owner. Condition 7, there shall be no changes to the primary building at 10 Marshfield Avenue without approval of the planning board. The applicant shall obtain the approval of the planning board through the town planner for lighting and signage. Condition 8, the building, parking, and required signage shall meet all requirements of the ADA and the Scituate Commission on Disabilities. Condition 9, the applicant shall meet with the building commissioner and town planner to determine the permitting status of the 3 apartments on the 2nd floor and apply for any permits deemed necessary prior to applying for a building permit. Condition number 10, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal federal holidays. Condition 11, if vehicles need to park on Marshfield Avenue or River Street during construction, a police detail may be required if the police department determines that a hazardous condition could be created. Condition 10, the site plan approval shall be void if it is not recorded at the Registry of Deeds within 90 days of approval or such extension of that time period granted by the planning board following approval of the site plan. Condition 13, all plan sheets shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And condition 14, this site plan approval shall lapse within 2 years from the date of its issuance unless substantial use or construction has commenced prior to that time in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 9.
I second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Laura, when can I come in to do that?
Just send me an email and we'll set something up.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow's not a very good day.
Yes, I do need to.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on the business. Like Laura said, sounds like a really good business for Hummerock.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Okay, it's 10 after. Do you have your people with you? Are you all set? And come on up.
And we have design review.
And design review is here.
Excellent.
Al. One is better than none. Yeah, but you can't even have a bottle. Hal, would you like to join us? Why not?
How you doing? Good. How are you? So,
Is this the actual size of the sign?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
My goodness. Okay. Whoops. All right, if you'll introduce yourselves, and we shall begin.
John McCarthy, Superintendent of Schools.
I'm Shane Nolan with Douglas Projects, the owner's project manager.
I'm Hal Stokes, the chairman of the design review committee here.
And we also have Michael Hayes from the School Building Committee and School Committee.
Good evening. All right, who would like to present?
I'll start. So we were asked to come tonight, as you can see, and I'm sure you're aware, we're coming to the end of construction on the new middle school. We're scheduled to finish the end of July, and we'll open in September with 710 or so kids coming into that. So our site work contractor is mobilized, and we're looking to do some signage, so that's what we're going to present to you guys tonight here. There is two different types of signs we'd like to look at. I believe you all have the packet that we have here. So turning to the first page and the second page, you can see the directional signage. We've got signs A, B, C, and E on this page. We originally had some site signage, directional signage, just drop-off zone in the plan that we presented to you about 18 or 24 months ago. Since then, the town has brought in a standard signage system that they want to use for all buildings, so we're going to adopt that for the middle school. Looking at the site plan, we've got sign A, which is the school identification sign. That's the one that's up here. We're proposing to put that on the corner of what we're calling 460 First Parish. That's the address of the new middle school, which is out here. So the cars coming off 3A will know that that's the entrance to the middle school. The reason we were proposing to put that there is it's a standard town sign, and also we don't want to cause any confusion as you have the town hall here. The fire department has moved out, as you know, the police department, but the town hall remains. So we just want this to be an indicator that you've arrived at the middle school and direct people in off First Parish to the middle school. So that's sign A, the one we have here proposed. Sign B, as you move in off First Parish, you can see sign B would be at the junction of this crossroad behind the town hall and heading towards the middle school. It will direct traffic to the left to go to the high school, straight on to the middle school, and the superintendent's office is also going to come back into the campus, so directs them to the superintendent's office. As you continue on into the site, we have sign C. We have our main parking for the teachers in the middle school to the right. We have visitor parking. We'll continue on, and we have our drop-off zone, so that will direct people to the drop-off zone. The drop-off zone being that circle there. And then the final directional sign we have is visitor parking. Looking at your drawing, the The superintendent's office is going to relocate almost opposite the skate rink up there and the skate park. So we have 16 spaces up there that we're allocating to the superintendent's office for visitors. So we're proposing to put a visitor sign there.
That's the former recreation space, is going to be superintendent's office.
There's one other directional sign. When we started construction, we took out, there was a directional sign on this side of the high school when you came in off 3A there, directing people to the fields, the library, and the high school. We took that out as part of the demolition and the project, so that's sign F, which we're proposing to put back using the town standards again. Do you want to maybe talk about those first before we go to the school identification sign?
Sure.
Or keep going?
That's probably good.
All right, Hal, if you, we're going to go through these signs first before we go on to the building identification sign? Or do you want to do it all?
I'd say let's do these out, because I think this is the one that's probably the most controversial.
What, this one right
Yeah.
here? Okay.
I'm assuming, based on the information I read.
The memo.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so is there any discussion about these signs? Bill? Hal?
May I?
Sure.
After the board. We saw this plan, and I think we agreed that it looked like, you know, a good usage of the town branding signage and so forth. I think, I'm not sure if it was in the notes, but one thing that Mr. Roman on our committee was quite particular about, and I think it had to do just with the sketches we were presented with at the time. He thought that that the layouts that were shown in the sketches didn't look balanced, that there was a lack of proper white space on the right-hand side, and it just wasn't balanced right. It's hard to tell from the examples that the superintendent has shown that, whether or not that's been corrected, but I assume it would be balanced just the way the other town signs are balanced with the proper margins on either side, so that the sign looks balanced, it's not squished over to the right. That was just, I think that was one of the main concerns that was at the meeting.
Yeah, I had noticed on sign B, like superintendent is all the way to the post, but yet on the example that you bring here, superintendent is well spaced. So I guess the question is, are the mock-ups, if you want to call it that, or that's what's proposed?
Yeah, that's closer to the actual, what you're looking at there is an architect's rendering. What you see on your, on there was an architect's rendering, and this here would be more to scale.
In fact, this is full size, I
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we're proposing to do is, I understand the town has a vendor who would make these, so our designer who did these signs and did the presentation here didn't have the software, he was just cutting and pasting a PDF, so that's why it's a little unbalanced, but when we go to the sign maker, we would make sure that everything is balanced and centered.
All set, Richard?
I had a couple questions. On sign A, here in our packet, it says Scituate Middle School, but you have Lester J. Gates Middle School.
Yep.
Which do you propose, or which is the correct one?
That's the name right there.
Okay, that seems...
At the time
good.
of this proposal,
It was still
we
under-
hadn't named, it was still under review. Now the name has been officially voted by the school committee.
Okay, excellent. And then on sign C, so that the larger parking lot that you see on the plan, that's all staff?
Yes, it'll be, during the school day, it'll be used by both middle and high school staff. So you'll get parking by it's about 174 around there spaces, and that will be for staff. What this does is this frees up additional student parking on the site in the back. Right now, the back parking lot behind the high school is shared by students and staff. This will open up additional student parking, which will be welcomed significantly by the community.
And so the proposal is with staff, it would be both high school and
Correct.
middle school staff. So all staff at the high school basically would
Mostly,
use.
it won't fit everybody, but it'll fit most. And then the front area of the high school, that front drive, which has parking along it, that will also be staff parking.
And then student parking would be where, in front of the gymnasium, like you said, in the
Correct.
back there.
Yep.
Okay. And then, basically, you said at Circle E, there's, how many spaces? You said
I
16?
believe it's 16 or so.
Approximately
And-
16.
And then there's also, you can't really see it there, but there's, I believe, 2 disabled and maybe 2 other visitor parking right in front of where the superintendent would be.
Okay.
There's a white circle there right now, so you can't quite see it.
No, I really like, especially sign A, I think that's going to be really nice.
Bill?
Yeah, I just had a couple of comments. One is about, more like, has to do with the wayfinding and the signs. This is gonna apply more to visitors than residents that know the flow of traffic and everything, but I'm thinking if somebody was coming up 3A and they needed to go to the middle school and they turned into the high school, is there any wayfinding to get them kind of on the right track if they're going up that road on how to get over to the middle school area?
There is not, and we have not put a sign there, but that's a point well taken in terms of whether or not we should add one on that side.
Yeah.
In the event that somebody did, I mean, in most cases, the advantage of this school is it has a first parish address, so when somebody, puts the GPS in, it's going to bring them to 460 First Parish, which will bring them right down here. But there is the possibility of somebody entering over here and heading up towards the high school, and now they're somewhat lost, because that will not take you to the middle school. So the option there is, if we chose to do that, would be to put a sign right down here on this spot pointing towards the middle school.
Okay. Yeah, that was the only thing I was
Yep,
wondering about.
yep.
If somebody gets trapped in there and then they.
Yep, and you're right.
And then the other where this is more like design stuff, and I'm not an expert in these type of things, but I was just wondering on the symbology for the signs. One is the spacing between the lines, so it says, let's take sign B, for example. You have high school, middle school, superintendent. I forget what the fancy font word is, but like the spacing in between the lines, if that could be a little, I know if I was driving and I didn't know where I was going and I looked at the sign, this is very personal, but it would like stress me out a little bit. I could see a case for having just a little bit more white space between the text. That was just one thing I noticed. And then, that being said, does it make sense with the symbology rather than when you have arrows that are, 2 straight arrows, if you added more space between high school and superintendent and then did kind of like a larger arrow and those 2 were separated? So it's telling you these are both going straight and this one is, going off to the left for high school. Does anyone follow what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I think, so in order to make that occur, I think we'd have to make the sign bigger.
It would probably have to get a little bit bigger. And likewise, I mean, I know these, like you said, these are just mock-ups, but like on sign E, obviously that could get smaller because it's just visitor parking with one. That was all I really was seeing there.
I'm curious, what did drive the size of the sign? I mean, what was the chosen dimensions?
Well, we were given the dimensions for sign A, so we just took from the bottom to, from the ground to the bottom of the boat here is 50 inches. So we just took that 50-inch dimension and took what we needed for those.
That's the rationale. So basically, if you look at that sign, they cut off at the top of the lighthouse.
Okay.
I assume that's the rationale.
I believe so.
So I guess there could be a little bit more space.
You could.
I mean,
Yeah, that's not a,
So it was just done for an aesthetic proportion,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
other words?
yeah.
So you could
you can make it
Make it
more.
a little higher.
Yeah.
what was the thought on the DRC? Was that mentioned?
No, we didn't, I don't recall any comment on the proportion of the signs. I think we liked the sameness, I don't want to say symmetry, the sameness that even the sign that only has one word is the
The
same.
consistency.
Huh?
Consistency.
Consistency, thank you. Even the sign that only has one location.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Same dimensions.
I would
so that
agree.
There's a uniformity to
Mhm.
to the signage size proportion.
No, all set.
All right.
Didn't do a motion on this one, so.
Okay, I don't think
I
we
don't know if we
really
need one.
need to do a motion, do you?
Yeah, I think you probably should.
Well,
'cause it's
maybe-
in the zoning bylaw that
All
you
right.
guys have to approve them.
All right. But you have no motion.
I don't.
Well, do you want to still handle that separately? Because, meaning the two individually? The two pieces?
Yes,
Yeah.
individually. Hal?
Could I make a comment to your comment, Ben? I understand, I think I understand what you were saying about this goes this way, but these are both going up, so why not make that one arrow?
Correct, yeah, and maybe put a little more space under high school, so you know those two items are together and they're both straight, rather than processing the three as separate
Put
items.
high school
So
on
this
the
is-
bottom.
I'm not
No.
speaking for the design review committee, but as a member of the, I think having the, again, for uniformity, sameness, having arrow, 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 no matter where it's pointing, associated with each item, I think is a nicer touch than mixing it up. So it's just a counterpoint to your
Sure.
comment that I
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's just was my first impression. But I mean, I particularly noticed that what made me think of that most was on sign F, where it's a little bit busier.
But it also breaks it out. If you're gonna have visitors parking, it's gonna appear on multiple signs, then it should each have its own arrow.
Yeah, personally, I don't have a, well, I mean, I actually can see either way. To me, it's like half a dozen one, six to the other. But, you know, I think if we have the individual arrows, that's good. I would maybe advocate for a little bit more spacing if that's possible. I think that's a good suggestion that Ben made.
I think that's already been determined, that they're going to space it
We
out.
can, we
So
can,
we'll-
yeah,
we'll-
increase the size.
Increase
Gain a
this.
little height, and I think in typography, they call that the line letting, the space between the lines of type.
Yeah, I know that the space between characters is kerneling.
Yeah, no,
Like-
it's the line letting, spelled like L-E-A-D, letting, yeah,
Okay.
so.
One of the things the building committee had a lot of discussion on was the size of the signs, and I think that what you have in front of you is a little bit of a compromise into not overwhelm the site with signs, which seems to be, you know, sign-happy Scituate. So there was an effort to not overwhelm the site with signs.
All right.
I don't think adding a little size there is gonna,
Change anything. Do you have something?
Yeah.
So this is on signs A through F.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even see F, there's an F.
It's right here. No, wait a
It's
minute.
a-
It's on,
Not D.
Oh, okay, so I just put A through E on this one.
change it to F.
A, B, C.
Well, are you
E.
approving
wait,
this one
wait.
too? You haven't talked
We
about
haven't
this?
No,
touched the, no.
F is still one of the arrow signs.
Oh, it's an arrow, okay.
This is D.
This is,
Oh, it is,
There you go,
okay.
yes.
Oh, that's D?
that's D, it's a little out of order.
Okay, so you'll get it right.
I'm just gonna just- I move to approve the Lester Gates Middle School sign that will be placed, oh, not that one. I move to approve the directional signs A, B, C, E, and F that will be placed on the Scituate High School and new Lester J. Gates Middle School properties.
I second that motion.
As reflected in the handout.
Yeah, as reflected in the handout provided to the planning board on June 5th, 2017.
would the A look like that, or what's in the handout?
They just said that it was going to
Look like
be,
this.
Like what you see right there.
Lester
All right.
J. Gates.
So, I'd like to amend the motion. I move to approve the Lester Gates, I move to approve signs B, C, E, and F as shown on the handout provided to the planning board on June 5th, 2017, and the sign A as provided to planning board during the June 8th meeting of 2017.
That seems reasonable. I second the motion.
Okay, Bill?
Any public discussion?
Yeah.
Are you also conditionally providing that the sign height might be increased enough to create a little more spacing between, I mean, do you need to state that?
I think it's understood.
Okay.
I do.
All
I
right.
think it's understood. All right. There's been a second. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now we go on to this big one.
So sign D is the building identification sign, as we call it, or the school identification sign. On that site map, you can see we've spent quite a bit of time going back and forth with this. Originally, we did look at putting it out here on First Parish, but we dropped that pretty quickly. We then looked at putting it at the junction here, but we thought that may not be appropriate. So we've settled on putting it where you see the D on your site map there.
Right, we had asked when we went to the design review committee, one of the suggestions was to push the sign back. And so what we've done is we moved it back in an island that basically is formed by the turnaround. So the turnaround, the drop-off area, there's an island there that will have curb around it, so it won't be an island that people will be walking around because we'll have sidewalks on the other sides. So we thought that would be a good location for the school identification sign, and that was a suggestion by the design review committee. And so we have moved it back. The other advantage of putting it back is that it will be very visible as you drive up the drive, but it will also have the capacity to be have lights at night. If you wanted to light the sign, you could light the sign, so you can see it at nighttime. Because there's electricity there. There's no electricity out here.
Island, yeah.
Yeah, there's 4 light poles. You'll be able to see the sign. Whereas if you put it out here, you're not going to see it at night.
Will there be a Lester J. Gates sign on the building itself?
Yes.
Then my question would be, why do we need this sign if it's already on the building? The Gates Middle School never, to my knowledge, had a big sign out front.
Has it on the, yeah, you're right, it has it in the building.
It's on the
That's
building.
correct. Right.
And Scituate High School is sort of kind of on the building.
It's both. You have the sign right up front.
That's that particular changeable sign. The public safety building has it on the building. And we have just made, talked about Scituate is sign conscious. Crazy. Do we really need to have this? We already have a sign that says Lester J. Gates Middle School. You're going to put it on the building. Why is this necessary?
Well, again, most of our schools, except with the exception of Gates, have signs out front on the street. In this case, we were looking to put a sign on the street. We decided not to. We chose that instead, which made more sense to us. You don't absolutely need to have a sign. It does announce the school. Most schools, whether it's elementary, high schools, middle schools, colleges, universities, have identification signs. So, do you absolutely need it? No, you have a sign. You do have a sign on the building. Is the sign visible from the drive? No, the sign will not. The lettering, because you've got a big tree that sits on that middle, a big oak tree that sits on that island. And so as you drive up the drive, the letters, where the letters are on the building, is right behind that tree. So until you get around the tree, you won't see the sign on the building. So.
But you still have this sign
That's correct. That is still out on
And
the
that-
street.
That's
Yep.
right out there.
Yep.
It tells you where you're going.
Yep.
And then when you get up there, it's on the building.
That's correct.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to think of the umpteen times I've gone by Wampatuck and Hatherley,
Mhm.
that,
Yeah, their signs, they're smaller like blue signs with gold lettering at the elementary schools.
Yeah, if I may, I had a couple questions just on, since you mentioned that there is a sign going to be on the building itself.
Yeah.
Is this the same font?
I believe so,
Yes.
Yes.
And what we're seeing here as the mock-up, is that accurate? Meaning that it's different than what we're seeing in the page, as far as font goes?
I would have to check on the font. This is, again, this is just diagrammatic. I'm not sure. We have a detailed one that we have issued for design and pricing purposes and construction purposes, so I would have to check that.
Okay.
We believe when the architects made this sign that you see, that you're looking at, they did so with the font that was on the building. Because one of the questions, again, the design review committee had was, are we matching font? And the question was, were we matching that font? That's the town specified font
Right.
on those signs. The building font signs, and there's two of them. There's one in the front, there's one that will go on the Performing Arts Center. Those have already been ordered and are here, so they're ready to go up. So those signs, that font does not match that, but it does match that.
Yeah, I'd make sure that those were all consistent.
Yes.
Do you want to hear from Hal, or from the?
no?
Well, just as was stated, we did discuss the font, and though we thought, wouldn't it be neat if they all had the same font, we definitely agreed with the approach you're seeing tonight, which is have the font on this sign, if it's erected, match the one that's on the building itself. So I can't attest that it's the exact same font, but I think that...
We can confirm that, but that's the intent. That's the intent.
So there was that. I will say, too, that even at our meeting, we asked, I think, the same question you've asked, which is, do we need this sign at all, since we have a nice sign mounted on the building, and we've got the signage here? And I don't believe that, I mean, I think it was basically a similar answer that, you know, but we didn't come down one way or the other on, you know, do we need one at all, as to my recollection. I don't think that's captured in the notes necessarily, but so there were some other aspects that were discussed as presented. The sign had sort of a quasi-mast shape. I'm still not clear from the latest proposal that the mast is still being proposed.
Still part of it, yes.
It's still being proposed. Now, we had suggested that if this sign goes in at all, that mast be taken down, just gone, and just basically just you know, just don't have it, and just have the little foot down here and...
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Is the question, is it actually a flagpole? Is it meant?
No, it's not a flagpole.
It's just meant to be like a
Only about 8
mast?
feet.
Yeah, it's representative. I mean, as you can see, it has a slight nautical tilt to this thing, so that was somewhat of a design of a mast. It's not exactly a replica of a mast. It would be somewhat in the wrong place. So it's not exactly that, but it does serve the purpose of, obviously, we have to have something out there to hold the sign up. So, you know, if you didn't have the mast, you would still have the post, which would simply be down, you know, in the bottom.
And if I can just continue, and, you know, we don't have a design review committee quorum here, So at this point, I think I'm just speaking for myself. But I feel a little bit rushed by the decision, honestly. I think that more thought, more consideration, I'd like the design review committee to actually consider the I'll call this the architectural sign at our meeting where we have our full group there, and I wish we had others here, and we could maybe just do this as it was intended to have a sort of a joint meeting about this tonight, because I know there's a deadline and so forth. But, if you're asking, do we need it, and not everybody, even on the design review committee, was totally wild about it, maybe we need to
Not have
kick
it.
it around a little bit.
How does the board feel about this sign? Do you want it or not?
I think it serves a purpose. It shows that you've arrived at the Gate School. I think you've come back up, you've come through the driveway, and you've arrived. We're treating it no different than we are any of the other schools. So I'd be in favor of it. I don't know if I need an 8-foot flagpole on it. That's the only issue that I have with that sign.
Well, my issue with it, and I think this was also maybe kind of incorporated in some of the design review comments, was just that I don't understand this angle to it. Maybe it was trying to be a boat or something, but there's, on the building itself, there are no design elements that this would be like mirroring or reflecting. Like if there was, the cornice maybe a little bit, but even that, it doesn't quite match. So I would just be in favor of something very simple, like 2 brick piers with the sign in the middle. So like basically, you've got the brick pier to the left, the brick wall, just have another one to the right and have it be a straight sign. Just very, keep it simple is what I was thinking. Because for some reason, to me, the design and with the angle and the mast just didn't fit very well with the elevation and the architecture in general of the school. That was my opinion. And I think that was kind of reflected.
We brought that out too, that maybe we should just have the two piers.
Yeah. So that's what I would advocate. Myself, whether there's a sign there or not, I'm sort of, again, 50-50 on it. But if there is the sign there, I just think it should be very simple with 2 brick piers. That's my opinion.
Ben?
I'm pretty similar with Richard. I don't mind the idea of a sign there. It makes sense to me. But I guess in terms of the design considerations, I could see it being modified to be a little bit more low profile and not necessarily in size, but in design, a little bit simpler. That's it. One question about the design is the brick wall. It's shown here as about, it's rough. I don't know, off the top of my head, it looks like 4 feet by 5 feet. Is that strictly for structural purposes, or is that aesthetic as well? The size of the brick?
That's an aesthetic. There is a jog in that too. You can't see it on elevation, but there is. You can see the line there, but 2/3 of the way in from the left, there is a slight jog in it.
Oh, okay.
So I think, the 2/3 of it to the left is probably not structural.
I think that would be my only take on it, is the building has, it's obviously like the building has a lot of brick, and if there was a way we could soften the brick feel as you come up, that's like the sign and you're announcing you're here, and then you have the big brick. That's just my feel, something a little softer.
Well, if you just squared off the corner where the angle is now and mirrored the brick pier to the other side, I think that would be really simple. That's my opinion.
Or would we, so the brick pier is 5'4", would we reduce that?
Well, yeah, I guess
2 and 2 on the other side?
There's no reason, like you said, that's just it's like a jog.
Yeah, I don't think
There's
it's
no
structural.
plan view of this, right?
There's a point at the end of that turn, and we do have, you can see the kind of green shading there. There is bio retention pond there for rainwater, so we are limited in that dimension. I'm just not sure what we have. If we have to add another 5'4" on the other side, I'm not sure if we'll.
I'm hearing smaller piers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
All right, and if I may, I mean, if there needs to be a sign, I don't think it has to be this big. I really don't. I think if it can be telescoped down, put it, because to me, this is major overkill. It needs to be smaller, cut off the angle, have the pier on one side, a pier on the other, keep it simple, as Richard pointed out, and telescope it down. You can keep the font the same that's on the building, but in my opinion, it's too big. I'd rather do without a sign than have this massive sign. That's just my opinion.
I think Michael had some comments.
Well, the only comment I wanted to make, and whatever the board thinks the sign should be or shouldn't be is perfectly fine, I think, with everyone. But Richard, this sign was an attempt by the architect originally to mirror some nautical and maritime allusions in the design of the building. The brick facade is not straight flat. It goes in, it goes out, with an alluding to the ocean. The staircase on the west corner of the front of the building is all glass to allude at night to a lighthouse. And this sign was their first attempt at kind of tie that all in together. But I agree with and appreciate all your comments, and I think you guys will come up with the best plan.
Yeah, I personally don't see it. I mean, I actually appreciate the attempt, but I don't really see it. I would actually say is that, that corner maybe is trying to reflect the cornice of the what would you call it, kind of the green with the metal. I think those are metal panels, right?
Right.
Yeah. But I don't really see anything nautical about it, personally.
There's some allusions to it. I mean, one of the things too, just so everybody knows process, I mean, as you know, we have a school building committee that oversees all of this with architects that sit there from the town, people who are residents who are part of the committee. And so this went through several iterations and debate. So, I mean, this has gone through some pretty significant hearing. I mean, again, we appreciate the feedback. We certainly can take this back. We have a school building committee meeting again next Wednesday. We certainly can take the feedback back to that committee. But this did go through a several-month review process by the 16-member school building committee. So it's not exactly, it didn't end up exactly as it was first presented, although it does have similar elements to it. But we can certainly take back the ideas and.
Well, I think there must be something wrong with it, though, because where there's kind of universally, from what I hear on the board, kind of they're not liking it, and again, reading the memo, I think there was universal disapproval from the DRC. So there has to be, it's not just like one opinion. There has to be something that's brought up that's not, resonating with people, maybe. If that's the right word. Okay. I do agree with Ann that it could be smaller.
It could be smaller. So I think we have unfortunately, an 8:45 public meeting.
Yep.
So how do we want to handle this? Do you want to take this back to the drawing board?
Yep.
And figure out how you want to best play this out? Hearing what you've heard from all of us?
Yep.
Okay? So.
Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank
What
you.
are we giving them to go back with?
We want them to come up with an alternative.
Right, I think we've got enough direction, Bill, that we could kind of,
Okay.
come back with something that is different than this. That reflects
Your meeting is Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
So we meet Tuesday night as a design review committee. If we had any further thoughts, could we submit a letter or something
Sure,
like that to you?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And do we have room on the 22nd?
We'll find it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
want to say something, Dave? Okay.
27th?
Congratulations, Ben. Good to see you up there.
June 22nd, yeah.
2nd, 22nd? Okay, thank you. All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. And overall, we're very excited to have the middle school. It's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be beautiful.
When's the tour?
The tour, well, we're gonna cut the ribbon on the 27th, Sunday the 27th.
You know, as far as 30B and all of that.
The 27th of what?
Do yours at the same time.
Will there be a
If you'd like.
public tour like there was for the public safety building?
We can do that later.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we can do that later. I'm leaving June 30th. I'm retiring, so. Yeah, I know. At the same time, but.
Keep the fold in it, that way.
Not with.
They did say that there was, in this
Okay.
item, there was already like 4 or 6
Okay.
lights. So I think that's what they're trying to,
Yeah, but I'm just,
Yeah.
that's something that they're gonna want.
Yeah, we're working on the library and, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
This came out looking good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, we have a public meeting, site plan waiver for 337 Gannett Road, proposed 7-Eleven store sign. Yes. Hello. Hello. If you would be kind enough to identify yourself?
Sure. For the record, my name is Heather Dudko, and I represent National Sign Corporation, who's installing all the signage for 7-Eleven. So the petition before the board tonight is to replace the Tedeschi sign on the building. 7-Eleven has taken over all the Tedeschi food shops regionally, so they do need to update the names. There's currently a sign on the front of the building that reads Tedeschi Food Shop at 42 square feet. They'd like to remove that and replace it at 42 square feet. It's a sandblasted wood grain panel with the 7-Eleven corporate colors, and the existing gooseneck lighting will be removed and replaced with newer gooseneck lighting. And they also are proposing a sign on the side elevation at 16 square feet, whereas there's no current sign. The same wood grain, sandblasted with the corporate colors. And that's just to help to identify the motorists coming the other direction in the parking area on the side. And that will be non-illuminated. There'll be no gooseneck lighting on that sign.
Okay, I have to divulge the fact that I'm a merchant in North Situate. I'm
Okay.
also chairman of the Economic Development Commission.
Okay.
Okay, and, welcome to the neighborhood. Tedeschi's, and I'm not sure what it was before it was Tedeschi's. Everybody knew where it was. I don't have a problem, from an economic standpoint, with the sign that you're planning to put up out front.
Okay.
I do, however, have a problem with the sign on the wall.
Okay.
And there's never been a sign there before. And I feel very strongly that there probably shouldn't be one there now. It's corporate America coming to North Situate Village. And we all know you're there. We do indeed. So that's just my point of view. I'll open it up to the board. Although,
Let me chip on, I should say that I live at 317 Gannett, so I'm your neighbor down the street. I have no problem at all with a sign in the front.
Okay.
But I've watched 7-Eleven as it progressed to becoming 7-Eleven, and there's never been a sign on the side of the building, and I'm not sure that I see the need for one now.
Right. I just want you all to know that I'm with the sign installer, so I'm not with 7-Eleven. So I just want to make that clear that, okay? And
We don't shoot anybody.
I know, don't shoot me, don't shoot me.
you may be the messenger, but you're okay.
And I'm sure that there's some, and unfortunately, there's no one here from 7-Eleven who can attest to why they've proposed that sign. I can only assume from doing work with them that they've probably gotten some feedback from customers or from someone that it would be helpful to have a sign on that side, and that's why it's been proposed. So that's why we throw it out there. So, of course, the feedback from the board is why we're here, and the decision will be made whether that's allowed or not, so. Yeah.
Ben?
I don't, obviously the sign on the side is a new site in North Situate. I'm just curious, I guess, on the lot, if you know, what is the general idea for the flow of traffic and patrons in and out of this location? I mean, Is it more, do you more want people coming from this, parking in the side and walking around, or parking in the front and walking in?
Well, it looks like there's a parking lot on the side.
Yeah,
So the goal would be to have them park and pull, if they're coming in, they'd pull into the right and park in that side parking lot versus the front.
okay.
So,
The side parking lot is a town lot, actually.
I see, yeah.
But their own parking that they own is.
It's in front.
Right, yeah, so I was just curious how, just the flow of, again, kind of with wayfinding, how are people gonna go in and out, and how will that sign either confuse the flow of traffic or help it out? I don't know. That's
Well, I would suspect that they would see it, not being intimately familiar with the site, but to suspect if they were coming in and saw the sign on the side, that they would think, oh, there's 7-Eleven, and I can pull in here and park in this lot on the side. That's,
It's kind of inviting people into the town parking lot.
Right.
You know, which is
The
another
access-
whole.
The access in and out is convoluted to get in and out of that
That's-
parking lot.
Really?
That's what I was thinking with the island and the one-way.
yeah.
I mean, if you're driving down and you sit and say, oh, I see 7-Eleven, I want to pull in, right, you've got two one-ways that you have to pass through to figure
Yeah.
out how to get to that point, get to the side of the building.
I've only parked in front. I've never parked.
So
I actually didn't know there was parking on the side, so.
There is, but it's, in, and then you have to go all the way around to come out, and the place is a minefield because of the potholes. But, it's a quasi-public-private lot.
What's that public?
It is
I don't
public.
know, I just went through all of those words.
Okay, good. It's getting late.
I was also going to mention to Ben's point that I remember when this was in front of the board, back when they redid the Tedeschi's, there was a owner of the Tedeschi, maybe a new owner that completely redid it, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And at the time, the planning board made them put a little sidewalk in front, which had not been there before, to kind of provide a little bit of pedestrian connection with that parking area. So they did, they did get that.
Well, I'll just say that, I have, like, Bill and Ann, no problem with the front. It looks
Yeah.
exactly the same. The lighting looks nice. I actually don't necessarily have a problem with the sign, because I like it is wood, right? And so I guess initially I was thinking, oh, if it's plastic or something, that wouldn't look good. But if it's the same wood, but I do appreciate where you're coming from, since you are a business owner and you're a person that's living in the neighborhood, like I said, just up the street. So I could be swayed either way, but personally, I don't have a problem with the sign. I mean, it doesn't look, garish or overly, I don't want to say, it's not commandeering or overbearing. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. So, that's my opinion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anybody in the public would like to say anything? All right, do we have a motion on this, Laura?
Yep.
So does the motion, what's the consensus? Are we trying to remove the side sign, or?
I don't want the side sign. And, Bill?
Nor do I.
I'm 50/50.
And you're 50/50.
Yeah, but again.
Okay, let's put a 7 on the side of the building.
You know what, though, like you said, whether it's going to be that much of a difference, meaning that, oh, I didn't know that this was here, let me pull that in. It's like, it doesn't really matter whether the sign is there. So I would certainly vote to remove the sign. Even though I'm 50/50, I think the neighborhood benefits coming from the neighborhood individuals is stronger. So I'll go in that respect. If that's what the motion is that?
It's more or less exactly that. So, once you have it, it's not perfectly worded at this time, but it's.
Is that okay, Ben? You feel since you're 50/50, would you go that direction too?
Yeah, Yeah, I can see that. It's just kind of, it's different. It's, you now, like, most all of the signage in North Situate is in the front of the businesses, so it changes the feel as you're driving by. That's all.
It's
So
a
I can
village.
see that.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
village.
Well, and personally, I don't think that sign being there is going to make any difference in the world, meaning that whether no one's going to say, oh my gosh, there's all of a sudden a 7-Eleven there. So I just don't really see the benefit of it.
Okay. I move to approve the requested 7-Eleven building sign in the front of the building, but not the side signage on the side of the building facing the municipal parking lot.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you very much. No problem, thank you. And I'll just relay all those comments back to them, and that'll be that. Okay, thank you.
All right, it is 9 o'clock. We have gone through everything. Is there anything else that we need to discuss?
We may want to indicate that the 9 o'clock discussion has been postponed to time.
Oh, excuse me. The discussion vote, permanent stormwater fix at 9 o'clock has been postponed.
Oh,
So we are done.
and
I'll-
why? Just curious.
People were going in 16 different directions, and not everyone could be here.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
I'll entertain Bill's motion.
I second Bill's motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.